My name is Berit Sander. I am a business psychologist, consultant, and facilitator. I am trained from the University of Copenhagen, being a psychologist, and then working into all kinds of business areas, public, private, finance, production, everywhere, where it's about human beings in the workplace.
And I am Stephane Guerraz, and I'm a management consultant with a background in finance economics as an actuary, actually, but have been working on culture and performance for the past few years and in executive education to help people get their thoughts in order and then their acts in order to help have great work environments. And we are delighted today to welcome Troels. Troels Blicher Danielsen. Sorry for my bad Danish accent. I pronounce it the English way. And I would like to give you the floor, Troels, to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Stephane. Thank you very much, Berit. My name is Troels Blicher Danielsen, and it is a terrible name. I told my mom many times that I'll not be capable of having an international job just because of my name. No, I'm a CEO of TEKNIQ, which is the third largest employer organization in Denmark. We have approximately 4,000 companies being members, and I run an organization with an annual turnover of approximately 1/4 billion Danish kroner and approximately 100 employees, 85 to 95 employees. I have a background in civil service. I used to work in the Ministry of Employment and the Ministry of Business, and I've also been 2 years in the Danish Maritime Authority since I finished university back in 2004.
Fantastic. And maybe one thing we could start, because you have the finger of the pulse of a large sector of the economy. Maybe we could start by asking you what's top of mind today, what's challenging for you and your members in the organization.
The three main challenges for us are in non-prioritized ways. The qualified labor, how do we make sure that we have qualified employees? That's one thing. The other is how do we handle the whole sustainability agenda, which is a huge business opportunity, but also gives a lot of dilemmas in everyday decision making. And the third thing, which is both something I think all my members, but especially also myself at the moment, struggle a lot with, is how to incorporate all the new AI tools. Now we are in the second year of the AI revolution. How do we incorporate them in our daily work? And what kind of challenges do they put to us?
And therefore, continuing on that, then with those three challenges, what kind of services and impact do you aim for?
Well, I think our main aim is to know what our members need counseling on before they know themselves. That's our vision, that so we are completely proactive in our relationship with our members, and have a culture where we are proactive and create a proactive leadership culture. So we're not waiting for our customers or our members, as we call them, to contact us, but we reach out to them and we are available to them on those many different platforms where they are. So just in the last year, we reopened our Facebook account. We introduced a podcast. We have really upped our LinkedIn appearance, and besides having a newsletter, we built the first legal advisory chatbot in our market segment, where you can get legal questions from a chatbot 24/7, 365 on our webpage. So we're trying to be relevant and have a culture where it is important to be relevant for your customers or your members 24/7 on those platforms where they are. And that's a difficult thing to manage in an everyday working environment.
But it seems like you are on a very steep curve, benefiting and utilizing the AI. What are the backside of that coin?
The backside of the coin is that how do you make sure that everyone understands the transformative nature of AI? As you can hear,
Exactly.
I'm pretty convinced that this is a huge challenge and a huge transformation of all people working in a knowledge industry.
You even call it a revolution.
Yeah, I think it's the second year of the AI revolution because it's for me. I compared it to when Gutenberg invented the printing press. Others have compared it to when we went from we introduced the personal computer in every workplace, and that might be more relatable to everyone, that it's that kind of change that we're looking into. Just looking at my own daily work, I think I've improved my productivity with what 20 to 40% just utilizing ChatGPT 4, and the potential is enormous. And how do we make sure that people understand this and see it as something that will help them in their everyday life? Oh, I think that's a huge challenge.
What does it mean? Because you mentioned also, I mean, it ties, of course, to the point you mentioned earlier about qualified employees. Because if you have an employee that has 40% more output than the other, obviously competition shifts. So I'm just wondering, as an organization, how do you go about addressing that, about learning, about deploying services or training around it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We've been working on it for almost a year and a half now, and we started out with putting together employees from different divisions, and then they came up with 42 different use cases where they thought, okay, here we can deploy AI. And first of all, we just bought off-the-shelf products and introduced them to our communications department. Actually, just this day, today, we just launched a new marketing campaign to get more skilled young people to choose our trades. And such a marketing campaign, before we would buy a company to do it for us, and we'll probably pay around between 500,000 Danish or 1 million Danish kroner for such a campaign. Now we can utilize such a campaign by our own means. I have a really skilled employee that we've hired, and it cost us approximately 25,000 Danish kroner. So that's the difference in just one field.
In one field.
And that's in sort of marketing, campaigning, communication, right? So our goal, so that's how we started. And then we bought all the programs that we thought had potential for our communications department. And then we spent quite a lot of time, not so much money, because that's one of my main points, is that those AI tools are really, really cheap to acquire. To build our own chatbot, which is a legal chatbot that can reply to legal questions. And when we get approximately 35,000 phone calls a year. In an organization where approximately 35, 40 people answer these calls, and how can we turn these calls into a modern chatbot platform? I think the last number I saw is that we launched this chatbot, which we call Quick, in January, and I think we answered approximately 4,000 questions already. And it is working. I mean, it is really transformative because it can answer all kinds of questions, legal questions, because we feed it. It's our legal text, the collective agreements, which is the thing that we own in this society together with the unions, and it can answer questions in that field. So that we started with our members or with our customers. A lot of people, a lot of organizations have started building AI tools internally to themselves in order to up their own competences. But we started by being bold and provided it to the members, because we are not a company, we are an association, so we are owned by the members.
It's a huge transformation, huge. And if there are any kind of resistance to the process, because I'm thinking, might some people say, will I become kind of useless in the process? If your time has been 40% more efficient, you mentioned 25 to 40%.
Yeah.
What are the worries, if there are any worries, and what are the resistance if people do not see the bigger picture like you do? Have you any sense of that?
Yeah, I think one of the that's the nut. I don't think we've cracked it yet, and I think it's really difficult to crack. How do we create a culture or leadership style or leadership management set up where we can talk openly about this, where it's okay to ventilate your concerns, and bring forward all your things. I'm not sure whether it will work for me. For me, the big win battle is the legal service part of my team, and the communication part is working. We've been doing it for a year now. We had a target saying 20% of all our communication output should be made supported by AI in 2024. And I think we're looking at upping that goal to 80 to 90% this year. That's how fast we are taking it in, because we have spent so much time about talking about it, and I've really gone ahead on this issue. My big concern is, okay, how do I get everyone with me? Because I'm really leading in this field, and I'm not afraid of speaking out openly about it as well. So if I sit in meetings, I do a lot of strange political meetings together with ministries and ministers. They bring issues up where I think AI is the solution. Sometimes they discuss translation, for example, and say, "Oh, it's a huge problem." And saying that problem went away a year ago. You can just chat GPT and you have no issues at all. And people think, is that really true? But it works really well. I think that's one of the areas.
It's also a cultural transformation, you could say, because if you look at culture as shared norms and behaviors, just what you mentioned about now using ChatGPT openly, when before people maybe were embarrassed to do it, means you are changing the culture.
Exactly. And I think one of the things I learned when I took a course in Berkeley is culture doesn't eat strategy for breakfast. Culture is a tool that you can use to reach your strategy goals. And for me, that's been a huge mindset change to look at corporate culture like that. So that's exactly the way I would like to work. That's very, very difficult. And I think one of the main challenges is to get your middle managers on that trajectory, because your middle managers are the one that's getting caught between a top-level CEO like me, who is saying, we just need to do this, otherwise we are not there in the competition, or we are not available in the market, or someone else will outcompete us. And then my employees who are getting all these superpowers.
So how do you, in practice, work with culture? What does it look like, either on a day-to-day basis, how you think about it, and then deploy it?
I'm the kind of manager or leader that is not very long from thought to action. So when a thought enters my mind, it comes out of my mouth. So I'm actually trying to restrain myself a little bit, and then trying to utilize it or put it into sort of structured sort of boxes. Okay, we have these meetings every month with every employee. We need to have both strategy and AI on every meeting. So that's one way.
Talking about it, giving space to have a constant dialogue about
constant dialogue. And of course, we have posters on the wall with our strategy aims and stuff like that. And I've done something that I think is very rare in this organizational world. I've spent tons of money on a corporate strategy, but I did all my communication strategy and everything that has to do with communication. I did that myself. And I think that's one of the things that AI can, is things that you bought in the city before, sort of like those tool-based. You can do that yourself. But all the really difficult stuff, where you really need people who are really, really skilled, you still have to pay for that. But you have to cooperate with external consultants in a different way. And normally in our line of business, people would do the strategy themselves because they think they have the capacities to that. And then they'll hire someone to do the communications afterwards. So of course, we're trying to make sort of a startup culture where one of the things that I'm not very open about, but it's also the way I am as a person. If our competitors are doing something, I think we should do something else.
I come to think that AI is the tool towards achieving something meaningful. It's not the meaning in itself, the AI, I guess.
I think that's one of the things that we are all struggling with at the moment. I think there's also meaning in the tool, because it's so new, just like there was meaning in the iPhone when it was pretty new.
Yeah. So you just have to dive into it.
You have to dive into it, understand it, just like when they invented fire. I think they spent a lot of time looking into the fire.
But I wonder if we look behind the meaning of the AI, what are the bigger meaning inside your motivational dynamics, inside your brain? What is the bigger meaning?
That we will solve problems that we haven't solved before. I think that's one of the things that is so big compute force can help us execute. So the way I'm utilizing it here in my business is also a way of getting to know the tools and the understanding the way it works in order to solve problems that we haven't solved yet.
We always like to have, toward the end of our conversation, a question of what advice you would have for a young leader.
One of the things is that I've learned is you have to do something every day that you think is important for you. So you get up in the morning and actually think, okay, today, even if it's raining outside, I'm going to do something today that's important for me. It's important for my organization. And for me, as a person, it needs to be important for society as well. But for other people, it might be something else that are important. But if you do something that is not important, you should be able to create a world or your own world where you can walk away from it. If you are in a place that you're not motivated, then yeah, and then I believe that young people are going to work until they're 100, 90 maybe. So they should be able to see their work life not as a sprint, but not as a marathon either, but as a long walk up and down hills, just like a trail. I think that's what we're looking into. And then we come around a bend and we see something and we spend some time there, and then we leave that bend and go straight for a couple of years. That's something I think that's the way of looking at your work life in the future.
When are you bored?
One of the things that's important about boredom is I always go to France in my summer holiday, and I actually spend time just doing nothing.
Yeah. So you legitimize being less energetic, maybe even bored, in order to recharge?
I look at leadership a little bit like being an artist, right? So you need to be there for other people or your art or your audience. And when you are there on stage or painting a picture, you need to bring the best out of yourself. So those periods where you're not on that stage or not doing that for yourself or your organization or your employees, you need to be able to have something else to fulfill your days with. And for me, it's the older I get and the older my kids get, I read a lot. I read a lot of not I don't know an English word, but novels. Yeah, I don't find myself getting bored, but I find that I need time to recharge, right?
What I notice is how much Troels, and I'm going to say to Berit, how much Troels uses images in the way he analogies, images, the marathons and the sprint and the walk up and down hill. And I think that's really compelling, actually, to communicate through those pictures.
Yeah, my dad he's still a professor. He's 82. He's been lecturing for many, many years at university. And my dad always spoke in pictures. So I think we inherited it, both me and my brothers. So we always talk like that in my family. It works well for me. Sometimes I find very, very non-well-functioning analogies, but it's very important for me. That's the way I think. I think in pictures. That's also why I like novels, because they create pictures in your head.